So we can place all of the results that are returned from search.php inside here, and that's going to happen every time a user presses a key and then that key comes up from their keyboard. So this will happen instantly. Okay, so nothing really else is required on index.php. We've included search.php, so we're going to go ahead and write that code in just a moment. However, we've got our input field and our div just here. So when we refresh now, not refresh this, refresh our page, we have this input field here. So let's go ahead and just say start searching there, so it looks a bit more user friendly. So we can start our search here. For example, we type London. Every time we press a key down and then it's released from our keyboard, we're going to be calling or performing a function in search.js, like I said, which will return results from search.php, and then they will be placed into here. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you understand the link between each of these files. Let's go ahead and create an event handler for this input field in search.js. So we're going to use a selector to select the search input field. Remember, we use a hash to select an ID. In this case, the ID has the value of search, so we've written search just in here. And then we need to use the event handler key up. Now when key up is pressed, we want to perform, or when key up happens, we want to perform a function inside here. And the content of this function will obviously go in between these curly brackets. I'm going to move these down just slightly so we can write our code in here and it looks nicely, we indent it. So now what we want to do is go ahead and test this key up event. So I'm going to just place an alert inside of here, and we'll just say something, or we'll just write key up, and that will indicate us the event and how it works, or indicate to us how it works. So let's go ahead and type a character. I'm going to type A, and you see that we get this input key up. Now this should give you a good clue as to how this is now going to work. Every time we type a letter or a character on our keyboard, we're going to send the result of this entire contents of this input field to our search.php file, and then that'll in turn return the results. So we'll be able to handle this quite easily now, and that should give you an idea of how it works. So the first thing to do is obviously retrieve the value of the input field, return whatever is inside of this. So we're going to create a new var, and I'm going to call this search_term. Now that's going to be equal to, and we use the this selector, and this here essentially references this search field here. We reference here. So this .val will return the value within this text field. So now what we can do is go ahead and alert search_term. And what's going to happen now is when we type a key, you can see that it returns the result of the field. Now if I was to go ahead and type an L, you can see it returns the updated value. E, it returns that, and X, again, it returns the updated value. So we now know that we have an updated value every time we type a key. So we can send this search term variable to search.php in order to perform our search on the value of this field. So now what we want to do is go ahead and actually send the request. So we're going to be using the post HTTP request in jQuery. Now this takes 3 parameters in this case: the file that we're going to send to, the variable set, and also a callback function. Now we'll look at the callback function here in just a moment. However, we know where the file is that we want to send the results to, and that's search.php. Now that's located inside the PHP folder in my directory structure. So let's go ahead and take a look at the directory structure. You can see that we've got index.php, which is the file we're working with here. Search.js is within the JavaScript folder, or the JS folder here, and PHP contains some files like search.php and db.php, which we have open here. So inside search.js, we want to send this to php/search.php. Now the variables that we want to send, we return a key, so the name of the variable, and then the search term. So I'm going to call the variable search term, and this here has nothing to do with this here. This is the variable name that we pick up inside our PHP, and we want to send this with the value search term. So this here corresponds to this search term that we've retrieved, and we send it as a variable called search term. So these aren't to be confused with equaling each other. Okay, so finally we want a callback function, and the reason we take our callback function is so we can return the data sent back from search.php. So we go ahead and create a function outline here. Inside here is what happens after this request has been complete, so we can pull that down. So in here what we want to do is go ahead and display results, and by displaying results what I mean is inputting the results into this div, so changing the contents of this div. However, we need a variable inside here that holds this data, so I'm just going to go ahead and call that data. So what we're going to be doing now is when we display the results, we're going to be setting the value or the contents of this div to this data value here. So let's go ahead and test that out. We're going to use a selector to select the search results div, which is just here, and then what we're going to do is set the HTML to something, and this will be data. So as we send data to search.php and this data here, we return the content in this data variable of search.php. For example, if we were to just say echo from search.php, the data would then contain this value here from